All right, here we go again. Take 3. Third time's going to be the charm, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely. So,
It's working.
Okay.
Hallelujah.
We have sound. And okay,
my God.
yes. Val says she can hear us.
Awesome.
So that is a good thing.
Thank you for
so sorry for all this
us.
grief. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. There's a new system that we have to test and institute in time for the next one because this is ridiculous.
Insane. We're using the same setup that we have used before, and it seems that the only thing that works for sound is to use our computer's built-in mic rather than our fancy mic that we have.
Which seems to be an issue, something to do with YouTube's
the only other thing, and we don't need to troubleshoot this live, but I am wondering whether that adapter is a problem, whether running through that might be a problem.
Oh,
because
in which case we should run the live stream through this. But you know what?
Yeah,
we're going to use the new system anyway.
Exactly.
I don't care.
Exactly.
But we're not here to have tech. I mean, we've had enough tech issues.
Exactly.
Let's move on to the fun part of today.
Exactly.
How is everybody doing?
Yes, you've got a rainy, almost April showers kind of a day out there.
A perfect day to be indoors.
It is a good day to be indoors collaging.
Or doing anything like that.
Yeah. So I hope you guys see our hardcore people have joined us.
Yes.
We have Val and Rebecca and Cherie. Hey, Cherie. Yeah, ain't technology grand. That's it. It really is.
Well
and we are firm believers and users of it, but not without our...
We're persistent. That's one thing you can give us credit for. Cal, we're seeing your head quite low in the screen. I don't know. I know our wall is very attractive. But,
there we go. That's a little better.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And behind me, you can see that was a lily I did from my collage florals class on Saturday behind my head there.
Why don't you reach it around and show it properly so
I could do that. I could do that. Yeah, I could do that.
Because it's actually quite lovely.
Yeah, it was it was a quickie, but sometimes the quickies work. And like I found a piece of blue paper I was looking for a background, and I had a piece that had a couple of pieces cut out, and I thought, okay, I'll start with that. And I forget how long it was, 30 minutes, 20 minutes, but I think it was 40 minutes actually.
Nice eccentric piece of blue paper to start with.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, so that's...
And most collage artists have more than a few eccentric pieces of paper. So if that provides a little inspiration for you today, then...
Eccentric artists too, so... So,
oh, Joy!
Yay, Joy!
Yay! Thank you so much for rejoining us.
Yeah. How many times, Lord? Anyway, 3 times it was. Anyway, so we've got going with the flow for our theme today, optional as always. So I hope that
and we're just going with the flow today, aren't we?
We really had to. We really had to, and so it's good to...
It's like the universe just sent that to us as a little test.
Exactly. Like, are you really embodying the theme? Yes, we are. We're going to have to be. So, yeah.
Oh, dear.
So let us know in the comments what are you working with the theme, and what ideas do you have? I jotted down 3 or 4 different ideas for working from the theme. And I will articulate them, and we'll see whether I actually do any of them. But
it's important to have starting points, whether you adhere to them or not.
Exactly. So I jotted down the idea of like taking a photograph of a river that's sort of flowing between rocks, like waterfalls and stuff, and cutting out the water and putting something else in the water space.
Nice.
So that's one thought. Another thought I had was to see whether the fashion magazines will work for me, but find a long flowing piece of clothing and then cut that out and put an image of water showing through or something like that, something flowy.
Red carpet outfits you can often find a lot of, or the Met fashion gala, whatever it is.
Yeah, exactly.
No,
I'm not sure
will wear like 5-story long
trains. Yes.
Or tall hats that are about that.
Yeah, exactly. So, and then I had another graphic idea, just using cutting sort of flowing shapes out of flat colored paper and then putting little people or things floating down it. So we'll see whether I actually do any of those or whether inspiration strikes in a different direction. So
what did you do recently where you put a kayaker on
that
something?
That was the thumbnail for this.
Oh, was it? Okay. Yeah.
So yeah,
the flowing shapes idea reminds me of something I did during virtual studio party.
Yeah.
Sorry, I get the two mixed up.
We should never have started them with the same word.
Yeah. Which is, I did gel plate printing that had flowing watery shapes in it. Very graphic, but painterly because of how I did the paint.
Yeah, and with gel plates, you can draw nice flowing lines with different tools and print.
Yeah, I think I did it as I made cutout shapes.
Right.
And did it that way.
So, just before I switch to the overhead camera and get hands-on, I will just remind you that upcoming in mid-April, I will be at the Artist Project.
Yes.
And
Cal's been working so hard on that, and it is collage-based work, and it's very exciting. Exciting new things developing.
On Saturday, I had a marathon day of a lot of things. So Sunday and the week before, I was working insanely hard. So I basically slept all day yesterday.
Yeah.
But one of the things I did on Saturday was go to our printer and take a look at the prints he's making for me. Not of you. Thank goodness, not of me.
Well, I beg to differ, but
you're welcome to differ. But he is making. I'm doing large scale prints from work.
Don't reveal too much.
I won't reveal too much. And I saw them, and they look awesome, if I do say so myself. Yeah. So I'm really excited. So watch my social media in a few days, because I will have I'll have some tickets to give away to the Artist Project.
Giveaway alert.
Exactly. So
upcoming.
Yeah. So stay tuned. Meanwhile, I will switch the camera overhead and I will get this party started. You're probably already working.
There's lots of chatting going on that I need to catch you up on while you switch the camera.
Those guys are probably on to their third collage by now.
I don't think so.
So it's just gone black for a moment.
Busy switching between streams
sad but true
to get their collages done.
So here we go with overhead.
So first of all, Joy has joined us from Salt Spring. She says, "Hey, I see you and hear you now." She's sending sunshine from Salt Spring. That's lovely because it's very gray here today.
We have none of that today, although we have had some quite a bit recently. So.
Yeah, yesterday was nice and sunny.
Yeah, beautiful.
All of her crocuses are out. The tulips are coming up, and she's going with the flow.
Awesome. I suspect that we have some crocuses in our lawn, and I suspect that they might be making their start now.
I'm just seeing the first posts from people in our region with crocuses, which is a bit late actually. It's the end of March.
It is,
but it's been there's been a lot of snow this month and so on. So, Cherie says 3 times the charm, as they say. Exactly. And it proved true this time. So
it's
clearly true. In our small sample, it's true.
That's right.
Joy says, love your background art display. Very inspiring. Yes, the constantly changing art display.
Yeah, that's our sort of test bed. Kim puts up some of her stuff there. I put up some of my stuff there. We often see some interesting combinations of things between either different pieces of Kim's work or
random
pieces of each other. Yeah, exactly. And sometimes really interesting connections too. So.
Yeah. And I recently cleared away a ton of stuff from I don't know, a year ago. From when my show was happening 10 months ago. And I've been a bit, preoccupied.
Yes.
So it cleared space so that Cal could put some of his things up. Plus, I have a drawing to the right of Cal's lily. Is a paint-based drawing by my friend and awesome artist Elaine Whitaker, who has from time to time joined us here or on Virtual Studio Party. I'm not sure which.
I think sometimes
maybe
a bit
one
of each.
Yeah. Let's see. Val says trying to work on a loon on the water. Right.
Yes, that's lovely.
Lovely.
That is a quintessential cottage country theme right there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
They are just the most stunning birds. Joy adds, I'll be using the Salish Sea. Sorry, it's a bit of a tongue twister.
Yeah, it is.
As a background. That's lovely. Flow of water offers movement. Yes, it does. I just the name Salish Sea.
Yeah.
Sounds so romantic and magnetic to me. Like I want to be there in like one of those sea kayaks and close to shore. I can't venture out very far.
Close to shore, but
close to shore, but enjoying it.
Being able to see the orcas at just enough of a remove to not be lunch.
Yeah. Now, let's see. Cherie says, I'm reworking some older pieces that were never released. Never throw anything out, as you guys say.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
I think one of I forget what wording I used because I did it a little while ago and I'm a bear of little brain, but we do have some kind of a reuse theme coming up later in Virtual Collage Jam. So
yeah, so
stay tuned.
That's good to prepare yourself for. Annie's here.
She says, Annie. Hi. Yeah. Whoops, sorry.
So glad you can be here.
Which way is my camera?
Yeah. Good to see and hear you both. Thanks so much for finding us through all the different streams. And
of course, we have to have lots of streams. It's go with the flow. Exactly.
Right. It was a concept.
Yeah. Yeah. and if you think we're doing that for a concept, you're
definitely not.
Totally wrong. I wouldn't put you guys through that intentionally.
Oh, Joy says it is the season of waterfalls here.
Oh.
I am so in love with waterfalls. Do you remember, Cal, when we drove through what are the mountains in Vermont? Is it the White Mountains that we drove through or the Green Mountains? It's one of those. It's one or the other.
Yeah.
And there were waterfalls, like spontaneous waterfalls everywhere. In addition to the ones that stick around, but there were tons of spontaneous ones.
It was raining, I think, when it was
raining and time of year, I guess, being in the mountains, of course, the snow.
I also remember on the Alaska Highway, have some memory of waterfalls and water running out across the road. And
down rocks and stuff. Yeah. Oh, that makes me want to get on the road again. I miss it. I only got halfway through Joy's sentence, which is, after all the snow on the mountaintops has melted, right? Yes, because you live in the exciting land of ocean and mountains. And
I just don't understand.
Ontario just feels so dull by comparison.
I don't understand why anyone doesn't live in British Columbia.
Yeah, why? Every time I come back from the West, I think, why do I live here? Now, obviously, community is a huge part of it.
A big part of that.
But the other part is real estate prices. But now that real estate prices are so bad here, I feel like, it's not as big a gap as it was back in 2006, for example, when I did a big solo trip. So Nellie's here.
Hey,
Nellie,
Hey.
You persevered. You found our third stream. You may have missed me saying we're going to be testing out a new system to try and avoid these streaming problems we've been having that seem to have developed with maybe a new iteration of YouTube. So anyway, we'll see how that goes, because new systems, of course, can come with their own things, but we promised to test it out before we use it on the first live stream. Cherie adds, would you share the name of your awesome printer? I'm anxious to translate work to a larger size and so looking forward to the artist project.
Yeah.
Oh,
over to you, Kim.
And yes, I would be delighted to, because I really recommend them. They're called Art Printing Studio. They're on artprinting.ca is their website. And you can upload your files to the website. And then I either pick up or have them delivered. The finished. They also frame, and they also do things like they can mount paper prints to wood panels and do epoxy resin pours, things like that. So there are a bunch of options there other than framing.
They do a lot of different things.
Yeah, and they print on canvas as well as paper and so on. And they're located on Lakeshore, just
near
about
Kerr.
at the fur of Kerr Street.
The foot of, yeah.
So there's street parking in front, and so it's quite convenient that way. It's a storefront, and I can't recommend them enough because they are very good at what they do. They can help you with things. If you need help with your digital files, you just talk to he and David are the two. He is the owner and David is his son and runs it with him. And they are, he has a photography background and a graphic design background. So he's quite knowledgeable about all of it. And I don't go anywhere else for my paper prints, honestly, because they are so conscientious and do such a great job for me. And the other reason I go there is because they are reasonably priced. So, yeah, that's what I have. They don't pay me for this. I just want to add that. This is not a sponsored live stream. I just adore them, and that's why I'm like an evangelist about them. And I use them for the framing too. I don't know if anyone here went to my show at the Art Gallery of Mississauga last May, June, but I had big photo prints framed very cleanly, and they did the printing and the framing, and it just looked fabulous. So Jane is here. Yay, Jane. And
Thank
she
you
says,
for
yay,
persevering.
the sound is
Yes,
good.
yes.
Thank you so much for finding us.
Yeah.
And Tango is here. Now, is Tango K?
Tango is Mia. I
believe.
Mia,
right. I seem to recall K also had a different moniker.
Yes.
Anyway, it's lovely to. Oh yes, she says actually. Hi Mia, so glad. Yeah,
welcome.
Sorry you couldn't find us at 2:30. It's not you having to figure it out. It's that we had 2 false starts because of technical issues. But I'm so glad you were able to find us and that you persevered till you found us.
Thank you. Thank you everyone for persevering.
We appreciate all of you for that. And we will try to make it less difficult for you as best we can in the future. Joy says, most people call it the ocean, but that only starts west of Vancouver Island. Right. Well, I think of it as the ocean, but I see what you mean.
Yeah, and it's much better to call it that than, I think the colonial name is the Strait of Georgia or something like that. But,
right.
Yeah. But like,
yeah.
No.
No. King George had nothing to do with it. Jane adds, I'm trying to go with the flow of clutter, as that's what our condo has been since we moved in.
Yes.
Oh, moving is such a bear, isn't it?
Yeah.
But now only my art room is a total mess and totally cluttered. Right. So that is your project, right? To make it the kind of clutter that's stimulating, not distressing.
Distressing and overwhelming. Yeah.
that's our house. That's what we need to do with our entire house. But that's a whole other story.
That's a different story. Yeah. But Jane's kids came and got a whole bunch of stuff out of boxes. They said, you know what? You need to be able to see it to be able to figure it out.
Exactly.
So they unpacked. So she has piles, but she can at least see what they are, which is awesome.
But I bet like you have a working kitchen now. Like you can actually find your dishes and your your basics. Yeah. I always set up the bedroom first and then the kitchen. I think that's my usual order.
I always say kitchen first. You can always sleep on the floor. Well, no, wait, no, I can't.
You can't. Not when it's covered in boxes.
I'm not old enough.
You need a place to. You also need a place to go for sanity.
Yes, but kitchen is definitely high on my priority list.
Yeah, but you can always order in or something.
Yes.
And use paper plates. So that's why I set up the bedroom for mental health. So good luck with that, Jane. You know, it's a big job. And Ricky is here.
Hey, Ricky. Yay.
Hi, Ricky. So glad you could find us. She says, oh my, I wasn't able to chat. Now I can. I'm happy to be here from excellent. Philadelphia.
Yay.
Yeah, I'm so glad you can chat.
That's great.
So glad you could make it all the way from Philadelphia.
Yeah. It's a long walk.
Cherie says, thank you for sharing about art printing. High praise. Yeah, I really thank you. It's sincere.
Yeah. The owner, Hee, Hee, his English is not perfect, but he really knows his stuff. So, so the communication. And he knows. He
understands better than he could speak.
Yeah, exactly. So,
but just
be aware of that. Like he doesn't talk a good game.
He's Korean-Canadian.
Yeah, exactly.
Just so you know.
Yeah.
And David, of course, is born here, so he's totally fluent. But mostly it's he that you talk to about technical things, and it's not a problem. Like
no, exactly.
You just are more intentional about speaking and listening.
Yeah, exactly.
That's all. Because he's been here a long time. It's not like he has very limited English. He has lots of English. Just comes out more slowly and so on. Like my Korean would, you know? Jane says, kitchen undergoing mini renovation, but almost totally finished. Yay!
Oh, that's awesome.
Just waiting for partial countertop. Thanks for all your nice comments. Well, that's exciting. That will be such a big relief when you've got it all done and you can be 100% installed in there. Margaret Buckworth is here.
Hey, Margaret.
Hi
Yay.
again, Margaret.
Yeah.
I'm so glad that you found us. Just like I'm saying to everybody. Collage twice in a week, a good week for me, she says.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, Margaret, how is it that you can join us? Because you normally teach during the week, right? So, is it just that it's late enough in the afternoon, or?
That's interesting.
But
she says she's just watching today.
Yeah, well, and nothing wrong with that, right? Yeah.
School is out right now, so it's perfect timing.
Right. Oh, that's perfect.
That's awesome.
Yeah, awesome.
I'm so glad. Oh, Philippa.
Yay.
I'm so glad you found us. So sorry for the inconvenience and hassle. I'm glad you finally found us. And yes, we had 2 that had no sound. This was number 3, if you can believe it. And as I'm just going to repeat, sorry for everybody who's heard this already, but I want Philippa to know that we are going to test out a new system for live streaming that I hope will help us avoid this problem in future. Margaret says she's still at school, hence watching.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. I'm so glad you can join us, though. That's awesome.
A rhythm sister is here, and she says
She's also just watching.
Just watching, new to Collage and new to this site. Welcome.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you.
Wonderful that you're here. And Collage is wonderful. It's kind of a low barrier to entry with Collage, but there's an endless opportunity for growth and development artistically.
Yeah. So
and we have a weekly prompt. I don't know if you stumbled on this live stream or if you were aware ahead of time.
Yes. How did you come to us?
And so the theme for this week, and Cal posts the themes on his website, is go with the flow. It's totally optional, but it gives a lot of people a nice starting point for working on their collages,
including yours truly.
Yes, and Cal needs something to work with, so
I always work best when I have a starting point. So
that's right.
So how are you coming to us?
Well, let's. I'll go for it. There's more chat, so
awesome.
Philippa says, sounds good. Yes. So we'll test it out and see if we can make that work better. A Rhythm Sister adds, thank you. My real name is Penny.
Hey, Penny.
Welcome Penny.
Aboard.
So nice to meet you.
Yeah.
Trying to change this on the YouTube account. Right. And found you through Halliburton's class calendar. That's fantastic.
Awesome.
Oh, that's so great.
Yeah. So are you going to be, just out of curiosity, Penny, are you going to be joining us for the collage course this summer? I forget the Collage New Directions, or were you just looking through the calendar and saw it? And thought,
either way.
Yeah.
Oh, she signed up.
Awesome.
Fantastic.
Yeah, so we'll see you there. That's
great.
Yay.
That's great. Yeah, Cal's teaching 2 courses in Halliburton this summer.
I am teaching
the landscape one.
Yep, exactly.
What's that one called?
Landscape, Real, Imagined, and Altered.
Yeah, so it's quite an interesting landscape. It's not just a classic painting the landscape kind of course. It's a little more contemporary approach and thinking about it, approaching it different ways, and the Collage New Directions course as well.
Yeah.
And I'm teaching 1 week in Halliburton, my first in-person course
since pre-pandemic.
COVID happened. Yeah. I was at a high school teaching a 1-day workshop when they announced on the PA system that March break was going to be 2 weeks long instead of 1 week long. And that was sort of the beginning of it all.
Yeah.
So, yeah. That was the last time I taught in person.
And you know what I was doing at that time? Kim has a little group of artists that she teaches online, even before the pandemic.
Yes, I started the year before.
So she knew what Zoom was before anyone else. And so she said, can you just run this little meeting of mine with my students? Because I have to teach this thing in person. And so I said, I don't know how to do that. And it's really easy. You just do this, this, and this. And I'm like, all right, I'll do it. So I was doing it from a Starbucks nearby because I drove Kim to the gig. And then I went to a Starbucks and ran my first Zoom class, quote unquote, while you were doing your last in-person thing for 3 years or 4 years.
Oh my God. So, that's amazing.
It's pretty funny to look back on and think about it now.
So I'm going to be teaching gel plate monoprinting, creative printmaking without a press, which should be a very fun, exciting week. And I just got asked by Nielsen Park Creative Center in Etobicoke to teach a one-off workshop for Asian Heritage Month in May. So I have no details. I haven't even figured out what I'll be doing for the workshop, except that it will tie into the Asian Heritage Month. But stay tuned I'll be sharing that on my Instagram, in the newsletter, and other social media channels, and on my website. Okay. Philippa would like to say that color is fabulous. Now that was before you added, I think, the.
No, but it is awesome.
It's amazing.
It's actually photographing pretty well. It's fluorescent.
Yeah.
And
it's photographing better than the yellow green is. The yellow green is brighter than it's showing on screen.
But the
orange is orangier than it's showing on screen. So
imagine
both of those other colors being almost as intense as the magenta.
In fact, the magenta is more intense on screen, if anything, or at least equivalent.
It's similar.
Yeah.
So Cal, you started with a photograph of a river, right? And you cut out all the water in the sky.
Exactly. And I'm gonna put the rocks back in, the rocks midstream back in afterwards.
Fun.
But I just thought taking out the sky would be fun too, and making it an unexpected color as well.
Yeah.
So, but I'm trying to decide whether just straight magenta is good, because it is, or whether I want to have a color shift.
Something different in the sky.
Yeah, exactly.
There is something very nice about that.
The green
shift, yeah.
Yeah, I like the green.
And the green is particularly nice, I think.
Yeah. I think it's sort of a compliment, but it's also kind of unexpected. I mean, not that magenta isn't, but
I mean, just using landscapey thinking, when the sky and the water are the same color, then I think the water is still like a lake instead of a river. Right? Because of reflecting the sky. Whereas that feels more separated. It's quite exciting, actually.
It's simple, but I like it.
Yeah.
Kim, would you mind getting me a ruler from
I wouldn't mind.
Because it seems
there's a ruler actually behind you.
Oh, you
know
that ruler, I think is the one the one I've been looking for. So
you left it behind.
I think I left it behind, and I've been looking for it for weeks. So thank you extra.
I'm just going to top up my glass.
Of course.
Oh, it looks like there are a couple of chat things, so I'll make sure to catch us up first. Joy says, hot stuff, Cal. Love the colors. There's your sun for the day.
Yeah, exactly. A little artificial, a little chromotherapy, right?
Chromotherapy is the best.
Yeah.
Margaret says, I love the little strip cutout too.
You mean the little bit of
that's
a little tiny bit of
little things like that are so important.
Yeah.
Even if you don't notice them first thing, it's a reward.
For those of you who are, most of you guys know this, but for those of you who are new to collage, I always have like a gunky sheet that has all kinds of glue on it. I call it a glue sheet, not surprisingly. And what that is I use it to do my gluing on. When you're gluing paper down, I use a glue stick for like 95% of my collaging because it's easy and quick, and it seems to work really well. Especially Yoo-hoo, not a product endorse. Well, it's a product endorsement, but they're not paying me. It's just the best product. But when you're gluing paper, it's really important to get the glue right out to the edges. But getting it right out to the edges means if you're gluing it on your surface, then there's glue all over your surface. But if I have this glue sheet, I just run right off the edge of the
it's such a good idea.
And I sort of pin it down with my hand in the center and pull away from that.
Yeah. That way you don't end up with crumpled paper.
Yeah. When it's something that's ornately cut, which we're going to get to shortly, it takes a little more finesse than that, but because this is a nice simple rectangular piece.
Cal is the master of finesse, though, so it's watch and learn if you want to learn.
There's the kiss of death. Watch me totally mess up the next thing, and then
don't be nervous. This is something you have years of practice.
Can you tell that she's also a teacher? Listen to that. I tell you. So yeah, something like this with the more irregular shapes will be.
You have to exercise care when you
require a little more care. Exactly. So, in fact,
just be patient when you're doing it. That's the main secret, and mindful of direction.
Yeah, anytime for instance, you've got little, can't see it at white on white, but if I put it here temporarily, anytime you've got little bits like that, you don't want to be rubbing the glue stick anything other than the way in which it won't just damage it, right? So any of these, I'll pull it towards any of those things that stick out. In this tricky small area, I may just like dab it, because if you go across it, you damage it, and if you work too hard, you'll end up with a bunch of glue in that gap. Now, I still may, but I'll do my best not to. And I'll usually start with those trickier areas first, because they sort of take more time, and then I'll work my way up to and out.
It's like preparing to paint a room. You cut in tricky bits.
Yeah.
And then the simple bits, and then paint the walls.
But something this big, sometimes it can be difficult. The challenge can also be to lay it down smoothly. And without, so we'll see how that goes, without it misaligning or crumpling a little bit.
Don't plop it. That's one, unless you're trying to get a random effect.
Yeah.
But even then, there's a random effect and there's a random effect, and some things that look good random are better done not too randomly.
Yes, there's a precision degree of randomness. Right?
That's right.
Which, if you ask any designer, one of the hardest things to do, and artists, one of the hardest things to do is make something look casual, right? Make it look like you didn't spend any time or effort on it, and it just is in the right place. And usually that's the thing you sweat the most on. This one is behaving reasonably well, and it's in part because the paper, like if this was magazine paper, some magazines have very
thin paper.
Yeah, I mean, I've got a little bit of the background peeking out, but I would probably trim this down afterwards anyway.
Right.
So, and I'm rubbing my excess glue off my fingers. I'm gonna rag a half off camera.
Oh, it's not just your pants.
No. No, I always lay down a white rag.
Oh, well, isn't that a good tip? Mia says, Kal is a master art collage cutter. He is. I agree. Some of his collages are so intricate. So here, and I've got a little glue on the surface. I always do that. Oh well, despite my best efforts. So would one of those magic erasers get rid of that?
It might. Sometimes I can
scrape it off,
especially when it's still.
I just want to finish with Mia's
comment. Finish that first.
She says, thanks, Kim, for the watch for direction tip while using the glue. You're most welcome. That's one of the key things, and for some reason, very often, I mean, I guess there's a 50-50 chance, right, of getting it right or wrong. And I have watched people go the wrong direction and regret it. So it's a good thing to
that's
bear in mind.
I mean, that's how we learn, right? But speaking of learning, here's another tip that I think is beneficial. So I'm not going to put this water back in, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the piece of water that I've cut out. I'm just going to lay it in, because that will help me put the rocks back in the right place. Now, do they need to be in the absolute right place? No, but I have my anal retentive ways in certain respects, and this is one of them. So that's how I'm going to find places to put my rocks.
So that's a judgment call for you as an artist.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I could eyeball it, but and
Kal's eyeball would be far more precise than most of our eyeballs. I know from experience, but he'll be much happier using the template in this case. But on the other hand, He also does collages where he's very, very loose. So, don't be misled by this, that precision collage is the only kind.
No, exactly.
That
it is not
the right kind to do, or that he does.
That's a good point you make, Kim, because I actually probably do more precision collage on Virtual Collage Jam than other places, because it's my comfort zone. So it's something I can actually do and still talk.
Exactly. And
at least somewhat. So I may not be hyper creative. And
you've done some dandy
and
collages
Collage Jam. Bless you. But the sort of, it is interesting when I think about it. I think maybe there's been more technical care in my live stream collages than there is in my practice in general.
Yeah. So unlike me, eh, dear?
We each have our strengths, right? And if we all had the same strengths,
I get myself into all kinds of trouble on my live streams.
You do.
I haven't done one of mine in a long time because of health issues, but yeah. But I have also been known to dig myself out of some of them.
I think really, what is art other than digging yourself into a hole and trying to find your way out of it? I mean, occasionally it's joy and bliss from start to finish, and we all have had, hopefully you've all had that experience at least once or twice.
That's what keeps us hooked, right?
Yeah, exactly. But but we also learn that, it doesn't always work like that. No, darn it.
No.
So
every artwork needs to go through its awkward 13-year-old phase, right?
Right. All right, so that's as far as I'm going to take this one for now. So I'm going to pull that aside and start something else.
Start the next one?
Yeah. I've got this.
That's another good tip. It's often usually a good idea, whether you're painting or collaging or doing mixed media, to work on more than one piece at the same time, because you can set it aside, work on something new, and then you look at it with fresh eyes.
Like when I look at this piece, I think, it could be done, or it might get something else. But it's at a point at which I've sort of accomplished the first wave at least. And so
let it percolate.
So that's a good time to sort of set it aside. I'm also noticing that didn't get glue jammed very well, so I might just sneak that in. But that's a different. That's not a artistic decision. That's just a little
technical thing.
Yeah, exactly. I thought I got all those strips, but not that one apparently. That may even be more hassle than it's worth at this point.
Can you apply it with a blade? Like, is it tough to get
the glue stick under it? In this case, I think I might make it, but because I can't feel it.
You don't have a smaller glue stick in?
I don't.
You need a glue stick with a gooseneck arm. So you can bend it into awkward places. That's something you should definitely demonstrate, though, like how to get glue into.
Yeah, I should learn how to do it. I mean,
well, I was thinking scraping some glue onto a blade,
and I definitely do that for, like, I'll just scrape a little off and use my blade, tuck my blade underneath, and sort of butter the underside of something. I find that works better for small things, although probably than that one.
Yeah.
But maybe I like a palette knife or
I've got palette knives there.
Yeah, a palette knife would actually be a better choice than this.
Yeah.
Because you stand less chance of damaging the paper.
Or your fingers.
Yeah. But usually this
is
what I have on hand, so it's what I use. There's another way in which Kim and I are very different, which is kind of fun. I will do everything with one or two tools unless I'm really being driven crazy. And Kim likes to have the right tool for every little particular job.
Because it makes such a difference.
It makes a big difference. And when we were first together, she'd like, you're using the wrong tool. Use this tool. And we're like, okay, yeah, you're right. This is amazing. Like whether we were doing renovations or design.
Remember when I introduced you to electric screwdrivers?
Yes, that was that was a game changer.
That was a game changer. Putting together IKEA stuff with an electric screwdriver as opposed to a manual.
Yeah, where everything you're doing is just endlessly turning. It's really great to be able to.
It's amazing how much faster it all is.
Yes, exactly.
Right?
I'm just looking to see whether I can find some sort of flowing piece of clothing.
Well, I'm going to read some of the chat.
Some of the comments. Awesome. Excellent. Thank you.
Ricky says, that one is amazing. The colors are bright, and it seems surreal. Doesn't it, though?
Yeah, I like that.
It's a beautiful effect. Judy says, finally here. Sorry to join so late.
Hey, Judy.
Judy, we're so glad you made it.
I have to work on my horizontal wave. It's not perfect yet.
Something to practice. Rebecca says, I use a palette knife a lot. Also, when the glue stick is running out, I can get it out with a small palette knife.
Yes.
That's a good point. So many good tips here.
Yeah.
Mia says, I must depart soon. What a warm and inspirational session today, Kal and Kim. Thank you and see you next time.
Oh, thank you for joining us, Mia. It's been lovely having you here.
I'm so glad you thought that. Joy says, you both offer us all so much in so many ways. Thanks. Aw, thank you, Joy. What a lovely group.
Let me tell you. We are indeed very blessed.
We are. We really enjoy doing these together, and all of you are very inspiring for us. So it's lovely. Jane says, wooden coffee stir sticks work well for digging out glue sticks when we think they're over.
Yes.
Yes. And I'm imagining some specific ones that, they'd be great.
And I know Jane mentioned this in our in-person collage class, and she's specific about it because a popsicle stick is too wide.
Yeah.
But the coffee stir sticks are skinnier.
And the popsicle sticks are also thick.
Yeah.
So the wooden coffee stir sticks are just really nice size and thickness. Judy says, great wave.
Yes. Yeah. I agree.
Yeah. Really flowing. Aw, Nellie. Nellie, right. We are a reflection of your kindness and art teaching. What a sweet, kind thing to say. Thank you, Nellie.
Yes, thank you, Nellie. That is, you're making us
what a
blush.
Sweetie. While Kal cuts that out, I'll share. Some of you know that I'm working towards my solo show in the fall at Station Gallery in Whitby. And last week I sent out some tests for things to have done for me to see, because I'm going to be adding to the work. It's an expanded and revised version of my Burnt Offerings show that I had right at the time I got diagnosed with cancer. And I'm very excited to be trying out some things I didn't get a chance to, and even maybe a couple of things that hadn't occurred to me at the time of the first show. So, yeah. My life seems to be about testing. So
this is, that I want to pick up on that because something that happens a lot with my classes is someone will ask me, so what will happen if I do this? Or what if I do this? And what about that? And I can give my
best guess, informed
sometimes.
guess.
Yeah, exactly. But I will usually say, unless it's something I have experience with, I'll say I'm guessing at this point. But testing is your best friend. Like, will this work?
Yeah.
How can you, like, don't do it with your good thing. Find something that's the same kind of paper, the same kind of glue, or whatever, as much the same as possible, because otherwise you're not testing apples with apples.
Yeah.
And do a little sample. Like, if you want to see whether a certain kind of glue works on a certain kind of paper with the effect you want, then glue together a little sample and see whether it works.
Art is seriously about trying things. So, you don't make discoveries, you don't develop anything new unless you actually experiment and try things. And there is literally no replacement for making something.
Yeah, and it's good to remember that art is about bringing new things into the world that haven't been seen before.
Yeah.
And
whether in a small way or a big way.
Yeah, like exactly.
It can just be a little twist on how you're using a material or using a tool, but it matters, and the way to find how to do it well, or what's good about it, or what it even does, is to make a test, make many tests, whatever you need to do.
And it's actually a really good sign that you're doing something new and exciting if you don't know how to do it.
Yes.
Right? So
that's my happy place. Am I not constantly like...
You are constantly.
Last year I took up wood burning because I needed it for my show, and I still have a ton to learn about wood burning, but boy, it's fun, and it's needed for what I'm doing. So, it's only one of many things, and it's honestly, it's a delight to try new things.
But rather than worry about it, I mean, I always worry about variables at first, but then I just say, oh, well, I can do a test. I can find my way to it. And the more you're doing something that hasn't been done, the more likely your work is going to be interesting, I think. Yeah. So,
including to yourself.
Yes.
To me, that's maybe most so importantly,
right? Like, before anyone else sees it, we have to please ourselves. We have to excite
ourselves.
Exactly.
Like, not worry about getting it right. Concern yourself with being interested in what you're doing, as opposed to getting it right, quote unquote, I should say, because that's
getting it right
that's the wrong motivation. That's the wrong end goal.
It can be the right end goal as long as it's your standards for getting it right, not someone else's. Like, don't. But also, you can get things.
Call it something else.
Yeah, exactly.
You can get something gloriously wrong, and that ends up being the perfect thing.
That's exactly where I was going next, because like, getting it wrong is sometimes the best thing you could possibly do, right? Wrong, quote unquote.
Yeah, exactly, quote unquote. Which is why, 2 or 3 of you may be familiar with my classes where we've worked with awkward processes or awkward tools or things that disrupt our hard-won abilities, precisely to arrive at something that's unexpected, out of your control, at least partially, and newer, interesting, fascinating, eye-opening. It's really good. Now let's see. Let's catch up on the chat here. Margaret says art is experimenting. It is.
Yeah.
It is. And Ricky adds, in that way, art is a science, hypothesis testing.
Exactly. So bang on, Ricky.
Yeah, I've always thought of art and science as being two sides of the same coin. I come from, my father was a scientist, my mother was an artist, and she's not a practicing artist. She's alive. She's not, but I say was because she doesn't do anything. But and what I find is that I bring both to my art practice, and experimental process is hugely important to growing and developing. And iterations, an iterative process where you repeat and vary is also a part of that, and underrated. Less experienced artists tend to have less patience with it unless it is sort of part of their nature. But it's hugely important to development. Ooh, what an interesting shape that is.
Yeah. Well, wow. And this is what happens to me. I start out with one plan and then I have to at least check out another one. Because the original plan, which I may still go with, I've taken her dress away, and I thought, well, and what if we put like some of this flowing water into her dress? Like maybe it's coming down from her shoulder like that. That looks kind of cool, doesn't it?
Oh, that's beautiful.
Like that's really nice.
Wow.
I'm really pleased with that.
That should seriously be made into a dress, don't you think, everybody?
And so that was plan A, and it's a good one. And in fact, I have two of the cover, except that one's not as good.
Right.
But what happens with magazines is you flip them over and you realize, oh, I've cut this very interesting shape out of, and it's sort of superimposed, and it even kind of relates to this model, like it moves from her armpit as if it's like tucked under her arm, and then down, but there's a hand here, and it sort of swoops across her legs, and then really like I may have to make copies of both sides of this before I before
that
I do
honestly looks like you designed it carefully.
Exactly.
It's so beautiful.
Yeah, it even kind of looks like it's being held by her hand a little bit, which is
it's relating.
And that's what I call the collage gods. Sort of just being there for you and giving you unexpected surprises. So yeah, I may have to, in this case, go with that, and rather than just going for the straight.
This is why you need a starting point, but you don't need to stick to the starting point.
Exactly.
Because
I'm definitely, I love this idea, and I'm going to, this is probably what this is going to be, but I'm going to copy this side before I do it. So that's actually, that just.
Is the other magazine that you have of this, does it have the image on the back that's the same?
It has probably not. No, it's a different
one.
Yeah.
But you can't use that one. Oh, because
it's also got like they do a second inside cover without all the visuals.
Right, got it.
Without all the cover lines.
Cover lines, yeah.
That's it. Yeah, sorry. So there's another. That's one that's underway, and now on to the next plan.
I'll just add a little practical thing, which is that it can be very handy to have it doesn't have to be expensive, but a decent multifunction printer that has a built-in scanner, because Cal can just put that on the scanner, flatbed scanner, and get a good quality image, good quality copy of that, print it out, and
work with the print.
With the print.
Yeah. And it will introduce some things, and the quality will degrade a little bit, but it doesn't always mean that it's a bad thing. Sometimes it changes it for the better.
Yeah.
or at least more interesting or
I mean,
interesting.
it just changes it,
Changes
and
it,
you just work with that.
Yeah,
yes.
exactly.
I must catch you up on Jane's comment, which is love what you're doing, mixing the flow with fashion. Just great.
Thank you, Jane. I happen to agree. I think that's pretty cool.
That was working out really well.
Yeah.
Do you need dear?
I did. I just thought I
black
brought
paper.
Yeah.
Right.
I bought a ream of black paper that's actually way thicker than I need. It's very substantial, but it's good for bases, and
right.
And it's interesting. Just having it means that I use it a lot.
Excellent.
And
black is so powerful.
And I do love black as a starting point, so I'm gonna use it as a starting point for this one.
So what is your, when you get a moment to add and tell us in the chat, what is the collage material that you are most enamored of recently? What are you, whether it's like a kind of paper
or a source
for imagery, or a kind of imagery?
That's a great question.
I don't know whether there's anything that's like really super new for me right now. I do love this thick black cardstock, so that's relatively new.
I think you love fashion magazines more than you ever have.
Yes, I do.
That has been a consuming interest in me.
Yeah, for sure. There's something I love about I don't know, the expressiveness of it, I think.
I like fashion magazines for shape. Whether it's figure shape or
silhouettes
object shape.
and shapes like crafted out of for the actual garments.
Yeah.
And also crafted by the interaction of model and garment and photographer, right?
Exactly.
Or creative director, right? Because move like this, or stand like this, or shoot from here.
Also, there's a recent magazine where the silhouette of the shoe is extraordinary.
Yes.
It's not a stiletto, which, I get tired of seeing.
It's
a much it's actually, as a shape, it's a much better shape than that. I still wouldn't want to wear it, but the heel's too high, but it's gorgeous. If I had to wear a heel and someone was supporting me and I could sit down after a minute and a half, I would wear that.
Best shoe in a supporting role.
So Margaret has commented that she likes the magazine What Women Create, or Where Women Create.
Ooh.
That sounds fascinating.
That
she
really
says great photos and good quality.
Ooh.
That sounds really good. I'm not familiar with that.
I've never heard of that. Is it, and so how wide ranging is it? Is it like encompass all sorts of making? Like artist craft design, or does it focus on a particular subset? But we'll definitely
sounds nice and open-ended.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, I love that. Like that it's So
wow.
Yeah. Can you jot that one down, Kim? Because I know my brain will not remember it, but I do want to remember it.
Okay. Jane. Oh, and I think I need to thank Margaret for sending the link to the Japan Foundation grants page.
Yes.
I have to see if there's anything. I did take a quick look at it. I have to see if there's anything that would be applicable to me particularly, but hopefully there is. Jane says, I recently used some window film I had accidentally moved with us. Had an embossed design in it. So she threw some paint on it, cut it up, and it glued wonderfully, even though it's plastic.
Wow.
Fantastic.
And so you get to work with something that's transparent. Is it transparent or colored or both?
Or frosted.
Yeah. I remember in one of the collage classes I taught recently, we were dealing with, or one of the classes in the course dealt with working with transparent things like plastic, to see how we could collage with it.
I love translucent things. Anything translucent has me pretty excited. Like, I love that Yupo came out with a translucent version. You know, and of course Mylar or Duralar and fabric. Ricky says, I found somebody's attempts with acrylics on canvas that they had thrown out. I rescued them from the trash and have been using them as a substrate. So far, I've done 2 things that I sort of like. That's an awesome starting point, Ricky.
Yeah.
I love it.
There is there's a phenomena that people take either paint by numbers or amateur cast-off paintings, or
like from flea markets.
Yeah, that they get at flea markets or thrift stores, and you sort of gather those up and then do add to them and see
yeah, a few years ago, I wanted to teach a
course
on reworking thrift store paintings, or ones found in the trash or something. Someone else's painting that, in all likelihood, did not demonstrate much skill, but nonetheless would provide starting points. I thought that would be a lot of fun. But that didn't. One thing and another, it didn't happen. A few things have happened in the recent years, right?
Just a few.
Margaret says it shows artist studios and their work. Fantastic. That sounds like something we have to find.
Yes.
Jane says it's transparent-ish.
Right. That's perfect, right? So it brings something of its own, but it also allows you to see some stuff through it. Which
so layering is really kind of interesting. Val says she likes double-sided clear tape that she uses on her gel plate and then uses for collages. Yes. Excellent. Excellent. So the paint adheres, but then she can peel it off the plate and apply it in collages. Great idea, Val. I've seen people mistakenly calling it making their own washi tape, because of course there's nothing washy about it, but making their own tape, arty tape, by doing something like that to use in art and craft projects. I remember when I was first getting into image transfers a very long time ago now, trying out the packing tape method of image transfers. Rebecca adds, I found binders of flooring samples. Oh, ooh. Sample books are fantastic, aren't they? In vinyl, wood, metal, and so many textures in the trash.
Wow, yeah.
I'm looking for the right project for them. That's amazing, Rebecca. Wow. Margaret adds, I also like 60s or 70s magazines. I agree.
Yeah, totally.
My mother had, my mother bought and my father kept. They split up, but my father inexplicably kept in the basement, so they got all musty. But iconic 1960s Vogue magazines.
Ooh.
With, Twiggy and Jean Shrimpton and all these famous, Verushka, all these famous models on the covers and inside, and the looks were unreal. And plus, because of the spirit of the times, creatively speaking, they were very adventurous in terms of what they were doing and the looks they had. And oh, yeah, formative. It was definitely formative. But aside from Vogue magazines, because fashion, the whole printing technology was different. You know, it was related, but they improved it in later decades. The inks, the aging of the inks and paper, all of those things, plus the aesthetics, really give a whole different flavor to anything you use them in. Definitely making some beautiful flowy shapes there, Cal.
Thank you. Yeah, I just
really feeling it.
I don't have a plan for this. I'm just
no, just make the beautiful shapes.
I'm making and seeing what happens, right? Exactly.
Yeah,
so.
It's a good thing to do. I feel like I should interrupt with a sponsor message. You know? This is Kim and Cal Radio, and brought to you by.
So, I don't know if you guys were watching, but what I did was I taped together 3 layers of paper just in the corners so that I could cut once and get 3 versions of it. So I've got.
And you taped it because if you don't tape it, you get slippage.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you get annoying.
In fact, I did 4. I didn't realize I'd done 4.
Look at those nice 4 colors too.
Yeah,
Don't they look beautiful together?
Yeah. They kind of feel flowy, so.
They do.
But I need a bigger sheet.
You do. Do you want a bigger pad? I probably have.
I have a bigger one actually over here, but I think I've just realized that it didn't take long to come to that conclusion.
Yeah.
But yeah.
There's more room to work in.
Yeah, exactly.
With these
pieces. One of the things that's great about doing this idea, and I think I've done this once or twice before, where I cut the same silhouette. I've done figures this way through more than one layer, is it gives you more options to play with. I always love to have options. I love to keep my options open and have more things to try. So I've done one cut and I've got the same shape in 4 different colors. So I can do, I find it liberating to go to think, okay, well, I've got 4 of these, so I can use one of them for this thing, and I still have some other ones to play with. And so it allows me to do riffs as I go further along. So I will probably make at least 2 or 3 different pieces using this stack of pieces that I've just cut. So,
great.
Yeah. So here's some larger paper.
Penny says she has to leave for another commitment. Catch you at the next one. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Penny, for joining us.
What a delight
been really
to have
lovely.
You here.
Yeah, welcome aboard, and feel free to post your ask to join the virtual collage jam group on Facebook. You can find it.
Facebook,
yeah, if you are on Facebook, and that's where artists here who are here will often post their work that they do, and so you can see what other people did during the jam.
Yeah,
and yeah, you have to ask to join. It's Cal Honey Art is my page, and that's where you'll find it. But I think if you just type in Virtual Collage Jam Group into the Facebook search bar, you will find it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and hopefully we can see you next week.
Yeah.
Not in 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Yes.
Not next week.
No.
Don't lead everybody astray. Oh, dear.
Misplaced my black paper. There it is.
There it is.
Right.
You just covered it up.
I did. I don't know whether this is large enough to do 2 sheets. Not quite, but I could do.
You can just trim.
Exactly. Yeah. Or do I want to do black and then another color?
Well, that's always a possibility.
It always is. Okay, so whether the seam is an issue or not.
You see, your nails are standing out very nicely.
They're
today.
very graphic.
Yeah.
They're going to be a little more beaten up by tomorrow morning because I'm going climbing tonight.
That's right.
So the rock climbing, even though they're indoor rocks, they do.
The fingers get into a lot of jams, literally.
Yeah. So enjoy them now, and
Yep.
they'll have much more of a punk aesthetic starting later tonight.
Yeah.
We must be getting close to the end, eh?
We are 6 minutes away.
All right, that's good. Thank you for letting me know.
Yeah. Some of you know that I've done 2 or 3 poetry readings from the book Bright Fish that Cal illustrated with collage, so very apropos of today. And I just wanted to let you know that I should be releasing another one this week. If you watch your
social media,
Instagram, Facebook, and for people who aren't on social media or would just like to see things all in one place, I have a SoundCloud account where, among other things, I am posting the poetry readings. So
awesome.
So it's a convenient way to not have to go through other posts. Just find the things you're interested in. And it's just in my name, so exactly as my YouTube account name. Joy says, wow, love those waves. Feels like floating, drifting in between those layers. Thanks, and have a creative afternoon.
Oh, thank you, Joy.
Joy.
Nice that you could join us.
Yeah, it's so great.
Yeah. Hope to see you again soon.
Yeah.
All of our best wishes from the East to you.
Yeah. We'll have to see that Salish Sea, eh?
I think so.
Road trip.
Yep.
Road trip. Gotta head west again. I want to head east and west. That's the problem. I mean, I think
all at once.
Well, I think even before COVID, I felt like that. But COVID, boy, that really
built up the demand for to get
I'm gonna
out
have
there.
to take like 6 months and travel all over the place or something. On no money, of course, but
details.
Details, yeah. Maybe I can do an art fundraiser.
A fundraiser. It's always interesting how much you find out that paper isn't always cut perfectly square.
That's true. That's true.
Because I lined this piece up against the binding, and by the time I've got the second piece over here, a little sliver.
If you wanted to, you could burnish it with that.
I could. That would be a better tool. This is there. Speaking to what we were talking about earlier, Kim's got the right tool for the job. Yep. Don't just use your hand and fingers. Use the right.
Use the
tool.
Round side, not the sharp side.
I am using the round side. Yeah.
Well, it looks like you flipped it over.
No. Okay. Well, if I did, I flipped it over to correct it.
Okay.
But I am using the rounded side.
Okay, good.
So what is this that I'm using, Kim?
It's a spreader for auto body filler.
Right. That's Kim always finding her favorite art supplies at Canadian Tire.
Yeah.
Canadian Tire or
hardware
Home Depot.
stores or
Yeah,
kitchen
exactly.
stores
Exactly. Wherever fine art supplies can't be
not
found.
Don't get me wrong, I love
yes, we also love art supply stores.
Yeah.
But sometimes the best things are found elsewhere. So
yeah, absolutely.
use whatever, whenever.
I've really been missing painting and drawing recently, so at some point soon I'm gonna get back into it. And I was looking through some old work, and there was a demonstration portrait painting I'd done for a class, I think prepared in advance the night before, that was done with foam roller. Not an art store foam roller, a foam roller from Home Depot.
Right.
And I'm looking at thinking, I remember doing that, but it was like, honestly, how did I actually get that effect?
You couldn't remember that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm thinking I have to reintroduce myself to the foam roller, because one of my favorite ways of painting, actually. I just never had enough time to do enough of them, you know. Time, that precious commodity. Speaking of time, it's 4 o'clock.
Right.
So do you want to, like, 5 more minutes and then wrap
Yeah,
up?
just a couple more minutes would be good.
So whoever can hang on for 5 more minutes. If you can't, we totally understand.
Yeah.
And just please say goodbye before you leave, so that we can say goodbye to you.
But it's been lovely being able to hang out and collage, and
it was hard won today.
It was hard won today, but we earned it. We have earned it.
Yeah, and you've earned it more than anybody, all of you. So,
yes.
Yeah.
So thank you for that.
Yeah, we really appreciate it. Oh, that's lovely. I do like that. So just so you know, everybody is watching, the green and the yellow green are more saturated in real life than you're seeing there. The violet is closer to what you're seeing.
Yeah.
But and the blue is closer to what you're seeing. But the greens, for some reason, are really off.
Yeah, this is actually a sort of a limey green, not a pale
almost
yellow.
Fluorescent.
Yeah, it has some fluorescent aspects. Because I'm using Astro Brights, which are
all super intense.
Yeah, exactly. Strong colors.
Yeah. But the effect on the black, I mean, black makes even dull colors look much richer.
Exactly.
But, you know, these colors, it's quite remarkable.
And what I'm thinking right now is, even though Collage Jam is about to end, I'm thinking I have to, like, cancel all my appointments. I have some collaging to do.
Right. Fair enough.
But, in fact, I know
I will need my desk back.
And I do have other commitments. Darn it. But
yeah.
I am having some fun.
Yeah. Such fun shapes. I love that violet shape. That's really gorgeous. Jane says, looking so good. Love the shape. So much you can do when cutting in triplicate. Thanks for a great BCJG. I'm sticking here until you guys check out. Yay! Hardcore.
That's our Jane.
Awesome. So just a couple more minutes, and of course you'll want to switch to the face camera. So maybe a minute more.
Yeah, I'm just I am just
get a couple more pieces down in
and they're not down.
Tentative
they're just doing some thinking. So
exactly.
And so I think that's the basis of some more games. And because I'm working with smaller pieces that were cut out of a smaller sheet, I've got these straight edges. And I think that's something that I want to introduce even up here a little bit more. So maybe have some shapes that sort of stop at different
intervals.
vertical.
Yeah.
And I like this I was really happy with this. These colors are very similar values, so I was like fitting one into the next. So we have these very stark differences between the black and the, but then that is a super subtle. So that's kind of fun.
Beautiful.
Nice combination. So I'm just going to put those pieces.
Oh, we're full of hardcore people here. Yay.
Yeah, so I'm going to put that aside.
Got Ricky saying she's here till the end. Nellie saying that.
And just go back to these guys in case you guys missed them. Those are the two before that we're going with the flow. The
See you, Margaret. Thanks
Take
so
care,
much.
Margaret.
I'm
See you
glad
later.
you found it inspirational. I hope you can make it in 2 weeks' time.
So I've actually got one that might be done and a couple of really positive, I think, directions. So that's actually pretty good for me. So, all right.
And Cherie adds, me 3. Great session. Thanks for the inspiration. I'm so glad you found it to be.
Camera just still too strongly lit, but there you go. Yeah. Now anyway,
real.
Yeah. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us.
Yes.
Our next Collage Jam is in 2 weeks. I'm not sure what the date is. Let me just check my calendar.
It's good to know what the date is.
And it's not showing me the.
It's April 10th.
Thank you. So April 10th will be our next one.
Which is actually Easter Monday, but Easter Sunday is the big holiday.
Right.
So
yes. So we are on April 10th. So, but if you're busy doing family feasting, of course, we'll understand
then
if you
catch the replay.
Exactly. You can catch the replay.
Be up.
Yeah. So, and that is only a few days before my artist project. So,
yeah.
Yeah,
that starts April 13th, does it not?
The Thursday of that week. So,
that's right, and runs through the 16th.
Yeah.
So I hope some of you can make it. Maybe someone here will win the giveaway.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll have at least a few pairs of tickets to give away.
So we'll see how many.
So watch my Instagram.
Yeah.
And thank you so much for joining us. Looking forward to seeing what you post in our virtual collage jam group on Facebook for Going with the Flow. And we will see you in 2 weeks. Thanks so much, guys. Yeah.
So much. Take care.
Thank
have
you so
a
much,
great
Kim.
couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Cal.
And
you have all the pressure of being on camera there.
No pressure. It's a joy. It is nice to be heard, though.
Yes.
Yeah.
So. It's been a real pleasure being with all of you today. So
take care, and we'll see you in a couple weeks.
Next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye for now.